Hello, and welcome to our Tabletop Gaming Show.
I'm Johnny B.
And I'm the Restless Kaiser.
But together we are...
Modelling for Advantage.
Whoop whoop.
Industry news then, things are starting to pick up again, things seem to be available again. There are some issues, and some products it seems have been delayed. For example, I had a chat with Warlord Games the other day, phoned them up, because I'm interested in SPQR, you know, it's like the Roman thing.
Yeah, the ancient.
There's a skirmish thing. Now, there was a lot of criticism of that game. Apparently, there were some really bad rules in there.
I do not know anything about it, really.
But I like the idea of skirmish ancients.
Yeah. I
like that idea. But they said that it was going to be released in December, the reprint. That's quite a way off. December.
And that's assuming everything goes to plan regardless.
Yeah. But I guess what's happened is the release schedule's been interrupted.
Yeah.
They've had to make choices about the order that things come out in. SPQR kind of big hype and then sort of flopped because of the rules. And their War at Sea thing is where all the hype is at the moment. And I think that's due out imminently. So that's Warlord.
Cool.
But Johnny B, tell us a little bit about Games Workshop then. What's been going on in their world?
Well, I'm sure everyone's aware about the whole 9th edition drop.
I think you'd need to be living in a cocoon.
Exactly right.
In the
That's
gaming.
completely overtaken everything, I think, at the moment. 9th edition. We've had a little dabble, haven't we, Mike? I mean, it's...
A couple of games will be a link to one in the what's it?
It's going to take some getting used to.
Oh, mate, I'm not...
Very big difference.
The mission structure is very
I'm
anti-casual.
struggling with that. Yeah, struggling with that. But... what is cool is they've released the 3 box sets, like they did in 8th edition.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
I can't remember what they were called in 8th edition. What are they called?
No First Strike and No
First
Fear.
Strike, all of that.
Yeah.
It's a really good price point, and it's a good way of getting new people into the hobby. I'm glad they kind of stuck with that.
Yeah, well, I've ordered us 2, mate.
Which ones did you get?
I got a baby one, obviously, for you, because you're only little.
I'm a little.
No, no. The baby one and the command one, which comes with a scenery.
Yeah.
I was going to get all 3, but the middle one is just...
Middle one, though.
I think it's probably the better value one.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what that is, if you don't want the scenery.
I think it's either the first and the last, or you go for the second only.
Multiple copies of the second, I think a lot of people go with. Yeah.
There you go. So, I mean, you all know that, but, you know, this is cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting
Indomitus. So you've been making some progress on the painting?
Yeah, doing a little bit of the my own little homebrew chapter, which you'll see, hopefully, in a kill team at some point.
Yeah, mate. We've recorded it, so
we have recorded it, so it will happen, just don't know when. And yeah, I'm doing the Assault Intercessors at the moment and the Lieutenant. Yeah,
because our hope is we're going to play through the Learn to Play missions in that starter set.
That, yeah.
Hopefully there are Learn to Play missions in that starter set.
I'm sure there is.
I think they previewed
there is.
You know there is, yeah. And the other big sort of industry news, I guess, for us as a channel, is Tanks, the World of Tanks miniatures game.
That's like happening?
It's like happening, yeah. But it's up for pre-order now.
And I actually downloaded the rules.
You downloaded the rules?
Yeah,
Did you read
that was available. I had a little look-see.
Oh, is it mostly the same? Oh, really?
Mostly the same, though. Oh,
all right. Well, again, maybe we'll have a bit more of a deep dive into that.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Let's have a bit of a read of the rules and see what's different. So before we go on to the main feature, looking at our contributors to talk about Cavalry, just a bit of information about where the channel is at the moment. Obviously, you're seeing I'm looking over there, Johnny B's looking up at the ceiling, because I've got to observe social distance. We can game in this room under sort of strict guidance.
It's pretty safe, you know, we've got plenty of hand squidge and everything else.
And all that kind of stuff. But things are not quite the same. But we've also, during the lockdown, got a new camera, got some new lights, and we're doing a lot of experimentation.
Yes.
The problem is we don't have a huge amount of time, so we kind of have to release what we produce to a great extent.
True that.
So probably over the next month or so, things look a bit shonky. Just bear with us. We're looking to get to a better production quality, but it might be a bit uneven.
A better level of shonky will be soon available, hopefully.
I mean, the quality of the gaming experience will still be pants. I mean, it's still 2 pricks playing a war game.
2 amateurs.
Absolute rank amateurs. I mean, we could focus on one game and get good at it.
Nah. That's no fun.
Because that still wouldn't happen.
No, and it would, you're right. It still wouldn't happen.
Main feature then, Cavalry. What you got, John?
That's my horse. And what have we got? Here, watch this wonderful piece of art that I have done at home in my very own bunker.
My lovely horse.
My lovely horse.
So yeah, Kaiser was like, I want to see some horses, right? It's Cavalry. I'm like, yeah, all right. Here you go. I'm a horse. Whee! This is Harley. He's the son of David, and he's made a friend, which is Jack. Jack's a British infantryman in France, you see. Jack loves to ride Harley. Yeah! Yeah! When he's not riding Harley, though, he's rocking this bad boy. And he calls it Jill. Jill is a half-track and is sure to bring the cavalry. Nice one, Jack. Well, guys, hopefully you'll see Jack and Jill sometime soon. In the meantime, back to you, John.
What do you think of that then, Mike? That's
I feel it's a very different style that you've taken to the miniatures of us there.
Well, you know.
You look all sort of tooled up and ready to go.
Ready to go.
And I'm just like some sort of fat, bimbling, pompous prick.
Mate, I say it how I see it.
You say it how you see it. You say it how you see it.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a horse, which is awesome. That will pull the cart that you've maybe seen some of our bolt
We've had the cart in a previous game, yeah, for sure.
And the M3, which will hopefully see the field of battle soon.
Yeah, it's got 50 cal on it, mate.
Mate.
Proper gun.
Boomstick.
Right, let's have a look at what Clueless Mike has got then, and his response to the theme, Cavalry.
Nice.
Hi all, Clueless Mike here. So today's topic is Cavalry. Now I wasn't really sure what, as a 40k player, I'd have for this topic, but then I remembered demons like riding stuff. So the demon army has various things. It has plague bearers riding giant flies. It has demonettes riding kind of like long-tongued steeds of Slanesh. It has people riding screamers of Tzitzit through the air. But then it has my favourite, bloodletters riding massive juggernauts of Khorne. Let's have a look at the models. These are my Blood Crusher models. I've got a nice mix here. I've got 3 of them are from the plastic kit, made up as a standard bearer, a normal guy, and a musician. You'll see they're like that. They're a really nice dynamically posed kit. But I don't like all my juggernauts or any of my models really to look the same. So I got, this is an old metal one, which has been bent and twisted, and I put a plastic bloodletter on top of it. This is from the same old metal kit, but this is actually as the old metal kit should look. So the Juggernaut looks very similar, but is actually a bit different. And then this guy is an old Warriors of Khorne Juggernaut. So the Juggernaut's all the same style and scale, but I've cut off the plastic human warrior and mounted a plastic bloodletter on the top of him. Took a bit of work, but it looks pretty good, and he is my Herald. Next project up, you'll see, is I've got to convert these onto round bases because they're on the old squares from Fantasy and they look much better on rounds. So that's to do tomorrow.
What do you reckon to those beasties then, John?
Mate, I love Juggernauts.
Yeah?
They've been right with me all the way through my gaming. Second ed, mate, they used to be able to ram and destroy tanks. I don't know what they're quite
fact that the way he's painted them and shaping the models, they look like dogs' willies.
Only when you look head on. But on the side profile, they
do look a lot better from the side.
And they're meaty miniatures, so yeah, it's a good collection there. I like it.
Right. Well, you got some of my bolt action minis over there for the close
I do have some of your bolt action. These are kind of cool.
So I do have some cavalry for bolt action because we messed up so badly with the motorcycle infantry rules. I thought I'd better really pay close attention before I bring these bad boys out.
But yeah, these are lovely Wehrmachts.
Yeah, got to rebase them on a pill-shaped basis as well. I think the Crusaders...
Are these all metal?
They're all metal, yeah. Hey up there, mate. And...
Is that meant to happen?
No. That hadn't happened before.
Right.
Yeah, they're a little bit donkey-like.
They are a little bit donkey-like, but not too bad.
Donkey-like.
In fact, I think they look more like, you know, when you've got a man at the front and a man at the back. It's like that. Like, this model here is actually 3 Wehrmacht infantry. 2 of them are the horse.
Oh, right, he's a man in a donkey suit. Yeah.
But that's cool, man.
Right, well, now we're adding a new segment to our feature because one of our friends down from Geek Out, our local gaming store, Sophia is a real board games aficionado.
Sophia.
So
yes.
she's going to what was her take from the board games world on a topic, Cavalry.
Nice.
Sophia.
So the theme today is Cavalry. I tried to think about a game that has a cavalry element that I could discuss today, and the answer that I came up with is Risk. So Risk is the classic strategy war game published by Hasbro. In Risk, players deploy their armies across the world in order to wage war and try and take your opponent's territories. The aim of the game is to try and capture all of the 6 continents of the world. Traditionally in Risk, your army is made up of infantry, cavalry and artillery, which are each worth different numbers of troops. But in the 2008 revised edition, which I have, these have been replaced with these arrows, which I don't think are quite as much fun to move around the board. Despite being a classic game for over 60 years, I hadn't actually played Risk until this week, but I can see the influence that the game has had on modern board games like Twilight Imperium and Rising Sun, which I have actually played, and it's a really wonderful thing to see that influence of a game which is really a classic influencing these modern games which people are still really interested in playing. And it's really crazy to see how modern this game still feels. Although it's had some updates over the years, it's still pretty much the same game that it was 60 years ago, and it's a bit mental to consider how similar games can actually be without realising it. I definitely enjoy playing Risk, and there's so many versions. I think there's over 30 different versions from Walking Dead to Star Wars. It's definitely a game that you should have in your collection if you have the opportunity.
Thanks, Sophia. Always good to see some board game stuff. What do you reckon, John?
Mate, I've not seen that version of Risk. What happened to all the little miniatures? Why are they arrows?
You get little men. Little men. You need the little men, right?
I want the little men. I do like Risk, and one I played was Legacy, mate. You got to
Legacy,
check it
it's
out.
like Risk but with stickers.
It changes the game completely.
Change the game. Does it make it good though?
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it.
Boom,
well,
thank you.
Another new face for the update feature. A guy I actually work with, Pogson. I do play with him, and we had recorded some videos, but the footage went all funny. You can hear his voice in a video somewhere from 40k, I think.
I like Pogson.
Yeah, which one he is.
He's my favourite.
He's a lovely boy. He's another one of these youngsters that I have to keep an eye on, do you know what I mean? So here's Pogson with his take on Cavalry, having a look at his orcs.
Hello, thanks very much for having me. Michael was talking about Cavalry. In all honesty, when I think of Cavalry, I think of those people at the end of cowboy movies turning up and saving the day. I haven't got anything that would save the day. Generally, it's all pretty awful, but it's a lot of fun to play with, and it's very, very fast, and can do some really cool stuff. So let's have a look at it. So here it is, the Orc fast attack options. We've got 4 Death Copters over here, and we've got the Death Killer War Trike, which, to be honest, I picked up just because I thought it was a fantastic looking model. I painted them red, of course, to get those extra couple of inches of movement, and although they don't do a huge amount of damage, and although they get killed really easily, they are absolutely fantastic models. I absolutely love them, and they can really, really annoy your enemy. They've got something like 30 inches of movement if you use them properly, so you can get right up into the enemy, really annoy them, make them shoot at these guys instead of anything else, and overall they're just fantastic models and really, really fun to play with.
Whoa! Pogson, mate, that Trike.
Yeah.
Whoa. I want to see
it's
that.
a lovely model, isn't it?
I want to see that hitting some stuff. I want to see that hitting some of Kaiser's stuff.
So a little story about is because Pogson's pretty new. He started helping out at the club I run at the school.
Right.
And then he thought, I'll get some of these. He's like working on his 3rd army now, of course, thinking about getting Necrons because of Indomitus.
So it's
he got orcs.
one.
Yeah, he got his orcs, then he got some Blood Angels, and now he's looking at getting some Necrons.
Awesome.
Like, mate, terrible.
Looking good though.
Been in for a couple of years, that's it, and he's got loads of stuff already.
Good.
But he's playing Goths, and when he got that Death Killer War Trike, and he was like...
You're playing Goths?
He plays Goths.
Pretty sure that was red.
Yeah. He was like...
Sons, right?
I got to paint it red to go for... do I really have to paint it red to get the extra
he didn't want to.
No, mate.
He wanted it black again.
Because it didn't really fit in with my army. I said, dude, you can paint it whatever colour you like, but it's only the red ones that go faster.
Only get the roll if it's painted
He's going
red.
to paint it red, yeah. I mean, that's how orcs work.
That sounds legit.
You have to believe. And I think he was a bit upset by it at the time. He's like, well, you don't have to take the bonus movement, mate, but if you want it to get that roll, it's got to be red. Yeah. What example are we setting for the kids here?
I know, right?
Think of the children, John.
Mate, what is this?
What do you mean? What is that? That is a thing of wonder and beauty, mate.
Pretty sure it's just a little baggie of lead pellets, mate. What are we looking at
Well,
here?
you see all these youngsters, they talk about plastic crack, but we old fogies, we talk about the lead mountain, you see.
It's got writing on it.
It's got words on it.
It's got words.
It's the black powder stuff, mate.
Union Cavalry dismounted.
Slowly.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Is this the same stuff that you conned me into buying at Salute?
It is exactly the same stuff, yeah. Yeah, more of the same.
A bit of
Slowly building up this Callistra force for black powder, nearly reaching a point when we might be able to have a viable game.
So we've got some Confederate cavalry and some Union dismounted and some other bits as well. So
yeah, it's slowly making progress.
Rowing.
That's what it is. So the last thing we've got for you under the cavalry theme, which is a bit of a stretch, but we invite our contributors to respond to it the way that they wish to.
Ideally,
I said cavalry, it didn't have to be a horse, although I was expecting more horses,
ideally,
to be honest.
More horses with
a few more horses. So here's Mr. James Workshop's take, and he's been experimenting, I think, with his editing software.
Ooh.
Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Literature Review with James Workshop, where we attempt to review some of our favourite books in 1 minute or less. This week, we'll be looking at Mitchell Scanlon's Descent of Angels, a book from the Horus Heresy series about the Dark Angels chapter. Let's have a quick look at what's inside. Descent of Angels is the 6th book in the Horus Heresy series, notable in that it's the first book to not take place during Horus's betrayal, but instead in the preceding Great Crusade. Though not his only book for Games Workshop, this is the only book by Mitchell Scanlon in the now nearly 60 books in the series. Following the story of Zahariel and his friend and rival Nemiel, the book takes place entirely on the world of Caliban. Lionel Johnson, later the Primarch of the Dark Angels, is nearing the completion of his lifelong quest to slay the great beasts from his adoptive planet. Zahariel and his cohort are inducted into the Order, a group of questing knights on horseback, and the book follows his adventures of youth and later when the Imperium of Man, along with the Emperor, arrive to throw their world upside down. The book is 410 pages of well-paced, exciting and imaginative writing, with many references filling parts of Dark Angel lore, including the life of Luther, a glimpse into the dark behind-the-scenes happening of this private legion, and an insight into what later became the Raven Wing. All in all, whether you've read the other books in the Horus Heresy series or not, this one's a good read. So that was this week's episode of Literature Review with James Workshop. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comments and I'll do it again. If you don't like it, I'll probably do it again. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all next time. What page was I on?
I don't know about you, John. That took me a little bit by surprise. I'll tell you one thing for sure, though, is he has not recorded that in the past couple of weeks.
I feel a little
wearing all them black layers, it'd be a pool of liquid.
A pool of liquid.
He was recording that in the last week.
That does look like a pretty cool book. So it takes place before the Heresy.
Before the Heresy,
which is kind of cool, and about Dark Angels. So
Dark Angels.
What's not to like?
Before the Raven Wing.
And they're on horses, mate.
On horses, mate.
Bill and Ben, or whatever they were called.
Probably that's what their names were.
Hunting monsters.
Dark Angels
on
are just
Caliban.
Rubbish, right?
Shh.
Some people like them. So those were our feelings and our responses, bits from our collection on the topic of cavalry.
Loosely.
So as we move into the latter part of the show now, we've kind of had the show is quite bitty, lots of different segments. And the idea is, you just stick it on in the background, lots of little things here and there.
Yeah.
And we decided a few of the things that we wanted to share with you fitted better in a kind of hobby corner section.
Right.
So that's what we're kind of calling this.
Sounds like a new feature, sir.
Yeah, well, it's old features, but with a little bit of a revamp.
Just briefly, what's Hobby Corner going to encompass?
Well, the first thing that we're going to encompass in Hobby Corner is we're going to have a look at some hobby spaces, Johnny B.
Okay.
People invited like through the keyhole,
this is where the magic
come and have
happens.
a look. This is where the magic happens. Absolutely. So first up,
we got one.
Is our dear friend Clueless Mike showing you
through the keyhole.
Hi there. So today we're showing you our hobby spaces and what we've got on our particular tables at the moment. So this is my hobby space. This is actually in my kitchen. I use a tray. This is from IKEA. It's got fold-out legs, so I can sit on the sofa and stick it there, and it's quite solid if I wish to hobby while watching something on the TV. It's also on a tray, so I can move it around the house. Sometimes I hobby in the spare room where you normally see me filming, but generally I hobby downstairs because my wife might be baking or something like that, and it's nice to share time even if we're not doing the same thing together. I've got all your hobby tools here. I've got the scalpel, drawn my blood many a time, one of the most important things to have. Loads of brushes, I store loads of paints behind me. Again, it's on the tray so it can store itself up on the shelves out the way when we need to clear the table. Things I'm working on at the moment, I am firstly finishing off my Mortarion. I got him for Christmas a year and a half ago now, and my wife's told me that she won't buy me anything else nice and big like this until I get it painted. I've also got a Terminator standard there that I'm in the middle of painting, a Sanguinary Priest, some Imperial Guard, an Inquisitor Eisenhorn, various things that I can at some point think, oh, I wish to use that, better put it on the painting table, I'll remember to paint it then. And that's what I've got. Various things, other tools around here. Trusty Citadel paint pot, one of the best things you can get from Citadel, really cheap, really good. I have a wet palette. If you haven't used one, make one. This cost me the price of a bit of kitchen roll and a bit of baking parchment, and revolutionises your painting. And other last thing is your thing from GW to hold your model. Now this has got a big chunk of wood at the bottom of it so it doesn't fall over when it's sitting around because it's such a huge model, but I'd highly recommend one of those as well. Let's have a see. I'm about to put up another video shortly after this that Michael organised showing you my other painting area, because I have two.
It's quite a few of these hobby companies. They'll sell you like an MDF assemble at home chair, I think.
Fair few,
mate. Yeah,
it's good. You can turn pretty much any surface into a workstation now, which is awesome.
It clearly had like a huge cabinet beside him that had most of it in. The tray was just one small component. So we'll show you some more of our hobby spaces in future. But let's go on and have a look at something new from Kitbash Corner, a returning feature, of course.
Nice.
Thank you, Kaiser. Next up from the Johnny B kit bashes, and keeping in the vein of the Astartes, especially my Primaris force, is this Intercessor Sergeant. It's not so much a kit bash, but it has got a single component from another kit. That is the Power Fist, which you can see here. Relatively good in scale, considering it comes from one of the Horus Heresy kits. I think this one's the Mark IV Power Armor. Power Fist, it's not too bad in scale, it's bearable, and being Intercessor Sergeants can be armed with additional weapons, you kind of want a bit more punch. I've got a few lined up, they're not ready to show yet, but they have the Thunder Hammers. Once again, this entire kit is magnetised, his arm, his hands, even his head, so I can give him a helmet if I want to. There you go, there's a second one for you. Back to you, Kaiser.
So Johnny B, I picked out one of yours, mate. Look at that, hey? Magnetised.
Mexy.
Very nice.
Magnetised. That's the custom colours I was talking about. If you didn't know.
And you're playing them. You've gone for a vanilla chapter, so it can be whatever you like, depending on which rules are good.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, they're going to have two specific ones.
Pro play.
Pro player.
You still lose, though, right? So we're going to close out this segment, then this hobby corner, with a hobby tip. I mean, you all know about this, but we don't all do it as much as we could.
To be fair, I think this is the only worthy hobby tip of it anywhere.
This is what you need to remember. What do they need to do, John?
Oh, shake your paints!
Always shake your paints.
Mate, that felt so good.
As we come towards the end of the show, always recommend a YouTuber to you. And today, I'm going to recommend Glass Half Dead. I'm a big fan of Kill Team, and he does a lot of Kill Team coverage. Yeah. So here he is. Check him out.
Ooh. Hello, the Restless Kaiser and the Modelling for Advantage audience. I am Glass Half Dead, or if you're that way inclined and don't particularly like monikers and nom du ploms, Andy. I have myself a small little channel where for the past 2 years I have been covering almost exclusively Kill Team content. I've just begun battle reports in it, which I think I'm doing a pretty good job on, so definitely check me out for those. In the past I've done a lot of interviews with the top players of Kill Team, tracking down the number ones in any tournament, finding out their lists, their rosters, and just really trying to help other people play the game a little bit better. With 9th edition coming out, I'm really excited to start talking about that. At the moment, I think I'm only going to be covering Combat Patrol, because that speaks to me a lot more than the full 2,000 point game, but early days, who really knows. I certainly want to discuss how to advance from Kill Team to 40k, but then also some 500 point Combat Patrol battle reports, because if you haven't figured it out, battle reports interesting me at the moment. And I'm also covering another game by Privateer Press. I know what you're thinking. A game not by GW? Madness. I won't even consider it. But it's called Warcaster Neo Mechanica. It's got some really interesting stuff, and I'm certainly looking forward to covering it. Failing that, you're already in safe hands right here. So thank you very much, everybody. And my traditional sign-off is, this has been Glass Half Dead. I hope you've had a good day, and I hope you continue to have a good day. Goodbye.
That's a lot of kill team then.
He does a lot of the kill team stuff. So go check him out. I mean, I learned a lot about sort of more competitive play. One of the interesting things though is he's a serious player, takes it very seriously.
Yeah.
Follows the tournament stuff, there's interviews with tournament winners and so forth, which is a bit much for me, but
Me too.
he's big on commanders.
Really?
Which means they can't be terrible for the game.
Do you reckon we'll end up dipping a toe into commanders?
Mate, I'm always looking to dip my toe in a bit, do you know what I mean? Well, folks, that's all we've got for you this week. We're still in these really bizarre times, so stay home where you can and stay safe. Take care of each other. And thank you for watching.
Whee!
If you like the kind of stuff that we do, rather than just waiting for the blooper reel, why don't you head on over to our website, modelingforadvantage.co.uk. We've got affiliate links to places like Whaling Games there, where when you buy your models, if you buy through our link, we get a little bit of kickback and it doesn't cost you a penny more.
Well, I think that first shot went absolutely fantastically. Oh my god. Is that actual rum, Sandra? Jeez, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to pump out 6 of these episodes at once, you need something. Right, I'm going back to my trailer. Call me when you need the outro. Squeezing the balls when it's sundown.
Popping a bollock.
Pop a bollock,
Mate, popping a bollock is so...
I would imagine that would be how it would go. So that was Descent of Angels by Mitchell Scanlon. If you've enjoyed this episode of Literature Corner, I don't remember what I called it. Let's not think about that too much, shall we? What is this called? Literature Review. Literature Review. I think I prefer Literature Corner. So that was this week's episode of Literature Review with James Workshop. Is it Literature Review? I think it was Literature Review. Third time's the charm.
Seconds.
Give it a blast. Mate, I've got a big sweat stain on my back.
It looks alright, to be fair.
We're about to crack a mass.
That's looking mighty fine, to be fair. Mighty fine. It's a mighty fine ass. I
couldn't leave her if I tried.
Mighty fine. What happened to my Teletubby doofer? Tumbler. Mate.
I've got a little Davros one, but that's too cool.
That is too cool. Alright, thank you.
I thought love was more or less a given thing.
Whap, whap, whap.
Seems the more I gave, the less I got.
Whap, whap.
Love was out to give me. All I got is pain. When I wanted sunshine, I got rain.